the Lakers writer for The Athletic, joining us on the program. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Morning, Dan. I understand where I fit in the hierarchy here. Meat Friday absolutely comes first.
The godfather of meat, and then you. Okay, our priority list. Okay, let me start with this simple question: are the Lakers a good team?
Is sometimes an acceptable answer, because we've seen this many times where the Lakers come out and win big games and then turn right around and lay an egg the next night. I mean, you go back. I mean, just right before the All-Star break, they pulled the rabbit out of the hat in Boston when Rondo hit that game winner, and then go out and lose to Philly, and then completely collapse against Atlanta right before the All-Star break. So we've seen this a few times with the Lakers, where they put together performances that seem to indicate they've figured something out, only to then completely reverse the narrative and look like they're completely in disarray. So they have the potential to be a good team. They're a good team in moments. Are they good enough to win the number of games it'll take over the final 24 games to get into the playoffs? I don't think there's any way of knowing that after what we've seen so far this season, even with an encouraging win like last night.
The amazing part is they are able to beat the teams ahead of them in the Western Conference standings, including the Golden State Warriors. They have beaten all of those teams. But then they lower themselves where you don't beat the Knicks, you don't beat the Hawks, you don't beat the Wizards. Like their season could come down to what they didn't do, who they didn't beat. And then you got a 5-game road trip coming up in mid-March. So that's what's surprising is they mail it in against bad teams, but they step up when it comes to good teams, and we saw that last night against the Rockets. How do you explain that?
I mean, I think you have a little bit of it where you got a young team, a lot of guys who haven't been in this position before. Perhaps they get a little complacent knowing they have LeBron James, knowing that LeBron is going to, do something a little special when it is a national TV game, or it is a game against another superstar or the top teams in the Western Conference. I mean, the way they beat the Warriors on Christmas, I think when we left the arena on Christmas night after their win against the Warriors, not knowing how severe at that point LeBron's injury was going to be, they were 20-14 and looked very much like a top half team in the Western Conference. They proceeded to go 6-11 over the 17 games LeBron missed. So it has been a theme of this season. And if you look at their upcoming schedule, the final 24 games, there are a lot of games against teams you would expect them to lose to. Twice against the Bucks. You've got Toronto, Boston, the Warriors, Jazz twice. Those are games that, on paper, rationally, the Lakers should lose. But they've also been games where the Lakers have found ways to get a positive result. The question is, what are they going to do when they go play the Bulls? What's going to happen when Charlotte comes to town? Those are trap situations that I don't think you can confidently say the Lakers are not going to fall apart in.
I know what your answer might have been to start the season, but I'll ask the question now with 24 games to go. Is making the playoffs a successful season for the Lakers?
Yeah, I think at this point it'd be a relative triumph, just because of, if you take LeBron out of the equation for 17 games, the number of games Lonzo Ball has missed, Brandon Ingram missed a couple of weeks with an ankle sprain, plus the games he missed with the suspension. Rondo's had 2 injuries. So I think the lack of continuity, the just incredible amount of off-court drama, starting with Magic Johnson criticizing Luke Walton 6 games into the season, followed by LeBron talking about wanting Anthony Davis, wanting Carmelo Anthony, the noise of the trade deadline that completely disrupted the locker room. I think all of those factors, if they could get into the postseason right now, I think it would have to be looked at as a success relative to where they've been. But relative to where they should have been, relative to what expectations of LeBron James are, it's not good enough. But I think it would at least placate a lot of the critics that will come out of the woodwork if LeBron is unable to get the Lakers to the playoffs in his first year in LA, because that is going to be that will be the ultimate talking point. If LeBron James makes the move to Los Angeles, for his final chapter, and is unable to get the Lakers to the postseason, I don't know if that tarnishes his legacy in the big picture, but it certainly would tarnish his legacy in Los Angeles.
He's Bill Oram. He covers the Lakers for The Athletic. You're around this team on a daily basis. You see them, body language. I'm just curious what that locker room is like for these younger players, that they know their days are numbered. They're not sure who's gone, but somebody's going to be gone in the offseason. Do you get that sense that it's there in that locker room with these younger players?
I mean, you certainly did before the All-Star break, and right coming out of the trade deadline. That last night in Atlanta was a really tough locker room to be in. There was not a lot of talkative guys. There was Kyle Kuzma did talk quite a bit, but talked about how they needed to start playing for fun again, and just there was a sense kind of in that entire build-up to the All-Star break and through the trade deadline that those guys weren't valued anymore. That there was very clearly a LeBron James, and then the rest of the team that was placeholders for whatever group was going to come in next. Whether it was some combination of all the All-Stars he had just drafted to his fantasy team or to his All-Star team, or some other combination. But players come up in trade conversations all the time. That is not new. I think what was new, and especially for these young guys, was to turn around and look in the locker room and know that there's a guy on the other side of the room who has a hand in this. And while LeBron might say he tries to stay out of the fantasy basketball side of it, and that he's just a player, there is the dots are too close to each other to not connect them. When you have Rich Paul, Anthony Davis, the relationship Rich Paul has cultivated with the Lakers front office, and Magic Johnson's desire to add additional superstars. So it's hard to know what kind of trust there could actually be in that locker room. But I will give the team credit with the way they've come back from the All-Star break and the way they came out against Houston. If they're going to make the playoffs, and they may not still, I mean, that is a long road ahead in these final 24 games, currently at 29 and 29. If they are going to make the playoffs, that was the kind of statement win they needed to make coming out of the break.
What if the Lakers traded LeBron to the Pelicans for Anthony Davis?
It's my favorite hypothetical, and I wish that I wish more people were talking about it, Dan. So thank you for giving me this platform. I mean, look, if the Pelicans had said no to every other offer, and the Lakers came back in the 11th hour and said, "We'll give you LeBron James," is New Orleans really saying no? And then you have Anthony Davis, all your young guys, and all the cap space now you could get Kawhi. Now you can get Kevin Durant. I love that hypothetical, but the Lakers are way too loyal, and the Lakers appreciate too much what LeBron signing on with them in the summer symbolized. You saw it with the contract they gave Kobe Bryant. This is not an organization that would ever do that. But as a hypothetical, and as a mental exercise, I love it.
Well, we're gonna test their loyalty, because I don't know what Luke Walton can do to keep his job.
Yeah, on that front, I think you're correct. It's I think the loyalty probably was Magic not winning out and being able to fire him at some point this season. I mean, it's the worst kept secret in the NBA that LeBron's team has been making noise about Luke's job. Magic, I think, if he'd had his way, would have gotten his own guy in there already. So Jeanie Buss has fought a good fight to keep him in there through this season. He's not going to get fired by the end of the year. It's too late to make a change anyhow. So he's going to be able to complete his third full year. But then, I mean, the full expectation with everyone I've talked to around the team and around the league is that they will make a replacement at the end of the year. But I mean, listen, considering everything that has happened with this team, Luke Walton has done a good job. He is not the tactician or X's and O's guy that certain teams might look for. But also, LeBron James has never responded to coaches who are like that. So I actually think Luke deserves a lot of credit for the job he has done here and keeping this team together. The young guys continue to buy into what he's been preaching, and I think he's done a good job of managing LeBron and his minutes. So Luke may be a free agent at the end of this year, but I don't think you can look back at his Lakers tenure and say that he let the organization down. This was a really tough hand he's been dealt.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this. Best guess. Not that we'll record this and play this back for you, but Seton, are we rolling on this?
Rolling.
Okay. Best guess, the second best player on the Lakers roster to start the season next year will be?
Oh man. Brandon Ingram. I'm not sure they're getting anybody this summer. I don't know what that looks like.
Oh, no. They don't get anybody?
I mean, I don't think anybody in free agency. And then the question is, who are you willing to trade these guys for, and who's going to trade with the Lakers? Bradley Beal, if Washington was willing to engage, would be an upgrade from anyone they have. If they could go get either of those guards from Portland, they would both be an upgrade
Bill,
from
it's
anybody
morning
they have.
drive in Los Angeles. People on the 405 are going, no.
I mean, fortunately, they're not going fast enough to do any real damage.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
That's Bill Oram. He writes for The Athletic. He covers the Lakers.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.